Hello, everybody. This is Swati live from Los Angeles. It's evening time, 7 p.m. in Los Angeles. I had the same sessions this morning at 7 a.m., but I started a little bit late. I hope some of you didn't think that there was not going to be a session because it started a little bit late. So I just want to say this in the future, if you think that if you wonder about why a session is not starting, it's probably because of something, some delay or something of that sort. So please be patient. In general, every Thursday there will be a session at 7 a.m. and then it will be repeated at 7 p.m. Both these times PST as in Los Angeles. So today what I would like to do is talk about a few things that came to my attention in last week. I know you are all marching along on your quest and you will be doing those things, and we'll talk about that maybe after our meditation. But before that, I want to talk about just a couple of things. For example, there is a study that I came across. The study was published last month. It was done in India. It was published in one of the one of the journals here, about resilience. Resilience is when something goes wrong, when something either traumatic or unpleasant happens, how quickly you can get out of it. It may slow you down, it may have adverse effect on you, but instead of that specific thing making you totally fall apart and get totally away from whatever you were trying to do, resilience would allow you to come back to being okay. It will also allow you to look for solutions to deal with the problem as opposed to totally falling apart. And as you can imagine, it is very relevant to us because we are not only going towards our quest, but even in life, as you may know that a lot of research has come out that successful people are resilient, or rather the way school children, the way one can measure if they are going to be successful or not, is not so much IQ. Of course, EQ is important too, but what indicates their success is resilience, psychological flexibility. So this research study basically talks about how mindfulness practice can be a mediator between the mindfulness indicator and a sense of well-being. So what this study shows is that the reason you feel a sense of well-being is because the people who have high mindfulness index also have high resilience factor. So I'm going to just show you this study real quickly for those of you who may be interested in actually looking at these kinds of things. I hope I have it right here. This is not it. Let me go to this and see where it is. Okay, now this is the study. I'm sorry, sometimes it takes me a little bit of a time to actually show you whatever I'm trying to do screen share of. Okay, this one. Okay, so now I think you guys can see it. This is the study. The study was published in Personality and Individual Differences, mediating role of resilience in the impact of mindfulness on life satisfaction and affect as indices of subjective well-being. So typically the journals, the way they word things, it doesn't sound very friendly, right? But all this means is that mindfulness and resilience, both these index seem to be high together. So what it would mean is that more we practice mindfulness, we are going to become more resilient. There's something else that was brought to my attention. This is sort of an amusing or cute way of remembering or talking about what we get out of mindfulness. So, first, let me tell you in normal words, and then I'll tell you the amusing way of talking about it. We all know that mindfulness, basically, we are talking about how to reduce the pain in life, right? So, basically, it assumes that everybody's life, it's not just an assumption, it's the fact that everybody's life will have some pain, some unpleasant things, some loss, some illness, some death, or something they are dealing with. So pain is unavoidable, is inevitable. It will be there. And mindfulness is helping you to deal with it. Then the second thing that comes up is the law of impermanence. As you all know, what we are internalizing when we are doing body scan or other meditations, mindfulness meditation, is basically we are noticing how everything changes. Our feelings and thoughts, they come and then they go. So do body sensations. So our thoughts and feelings don't define us. They are not us. There is nothing, in fact, the third fact is there is nothing like permanent sense of self. That's an interesting idea because a lot of times we talk about like how I'm searching for myself. I need to find out who I am. And yeah, it makes sense on practical level. Yes, it makes sense. But in reality, in fact, what you think as self is not a permanent given written on stone kind of thing, right? Think about it, the way you were when you were young and then you grew up, you collected more experiences. Some of your thoughts changed, your perspective changed, your relationships changed, some of your characteristics changed. Some things stay the same. It's hard to change some of the things, but a lot of things do change. And so there is not like one fixed sense of self. So even self is impermanent. And even that depends on environment. So these are the three things. So how the amusing way I heard or to say it is life sucks, but everything changes. So no need to personalize it. Very simple. All the three things that I just said, complicated things, which is, the pain and law of impermanence and lack of permanent self, all these things. What the way to say it is life sucks, but everything changes. No need to personalize it. And that's the way you actually start feeling a sense of well-being in your life by practicing mindfulness. Now, there is third thing that came to my attention in last 1 week that I would like to talk about, which is there was a conference. Wall Street Journal had arranged for a business conference, and one person who I have already mentioned in my 6 week long mindfulness camp, Mark Benioff, who is the CEO of Salesforce. And if you guys remember, some of you may remember, I had mentioned his name in the context of Steve Jobs. So during Steve Jobs' funeral, Mark Benioff talked about how he knew Steve very well and how Steve had attributed to his creative ideas to mindfulness. That mindfulness meditation practice, or rather Zen meditation practice, similar, allowed him to trust his intuition, and when he wanted creative ideas or wanted to test them, that's what he did. He meditated. And Mark Benioff had talked about it. And then since that time, and after that, of course, Steve Jobs' biography was published. And since that time, a lot of people, a lot of closet meditators have come out. CEOs have come out and they've talked about how they have been long-term meditators. Now, in this conference last week, Mark Benioff talked about his use of mindfulness philosophy in his company, Salesforce. And he talked about how mindfulness has helped his employees and how he thinks that's where things are going. And that reminds me, it's not only Mark Benioff's company, Salesforce, but even other more innovative or technology oriented companies, as well as more traditional companies, nowadays are practicing mindfulness. They may not call it mindfulness meditation. Meditation still may seem to some people as some kind of esoteric practice, or oh, that's airy fairy, which it is not, as we know. But mindfulness has become a buzzword, or mindfulness has become quite a mainstream idea which is accepted by most of businesses. Because what do they want? They want people to be resilient, they want people to come up with new ideas, they want people to have a sense of well-being, and they want people to have more empathy and better relationships with each other. So all these things make sense when it comes to running a company. And as newer and newer companies recognize this, you are going to have more and more mindfulness trainings everywhere. So it's used in education, it's used in businesses, it's used in relationship advice and all these kind of things. So anyway, so with all that, now let's do our meditation practice. So today I am going to do an open awareness meditation with you. As we know, open awareness meditation also sometimes can offer you insight into some answer that you may be looking for. You're not going to analyze it while you're meditating at all. You are just going to be aware of whatever is falling in the span of your attention. You're going to be aware for the whole time as long as you can. And in that awareness, like whatever thoughts, you notice the thought. Whatever feeling comes in your attention, you notice it. If there is some kind of body sensation grabs your attention, you pay attention to that. If there is an outside sense, such as sound or smell, that comes in the attention sphere, your attention sphere, then you pay attention to that. Whatever grabs your attention, you notice that for a while. And once you think that you have completely noticed it, then you can move on to whatever the next thing is that's grabbing your attention. In this process, you want to do one thing: separate facts from interpretations. There are things that are just facts. Let's not go into the philosophical part of does it really exist and is it permanent and all those kinds of things. For all practical reasons, we know that if you hear a sound, I hear a sound. That's a fact. I see this image. This feeling comes to me. This thought comes to me. These are all facts. These are the things that are happening. Interpretation is when the feeling or thought comes to you, it has some kind of association, is that it has some kind of meaning to you. It may remind you of something else, or you may reach a conclusion about a person or event. All these are interpretations. So what we are trying to do in meditation is we are becoming aware in a bare sense, in a fact sense. And if there is an interpretation, you notice it is an interpretation. It's a story. I am not sure if it is a fact or not. Okay, so let's go for it. So let me get rid of this bottom here. All right. I see that some people were wondering if there is going to be, there was a session this morning or not. I've already addressed that. Uh, I hope everybody is still there. Okay, so now close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Open awareness meditation, you can do it with open eyes or closed eyes. But I suggest closing your eyes for obvious reasons. At least you must close your eyes. I may or may not close my eyes. Take a few deep breaths. And now pay attention to your breath for some time. And for those of you who may want to know, let's meditate for 20 minutes. So pay attention to your breath for a little bit. Breathe in and breathe out, the central part of your existence, the vital part, your center. Pay attention to that, how your body is receiving the breath. Comes in through the nostrils, goes to the lungs. Lungs receive it. The energy gets sent to the rest of your body, and then the breath goes out and comes in again. The breath. And now open up your awareness and see what comes in this open awareness. Feelings, thoughts, images, body sensations, as well as any external senses that may grab your attention. Be aware. If your mind wanders around, as soon as you become aware, you notice my mind was wandering around and you bring it back to awareness. You're observing awareness. If your mind is wandering around, bring it back to awareness. What's grabbing your attention right now? If your mind is wandering around, bring it back to attention, to awareness. What's grabbing your attention? What feeling or what thought or what image or what body sensation? If your mind is wandering around, once you notice, come back to being aware. Be aware that your mind was wandering around, and then be aware what is going on in your mind, in your attention, in your body. Bring your attention back to where you left. If you did leave, was notice with curiosity, what's going on with me right now? What's going on in my body? What's going on in my mind? What am I thinking about? This is the thought. Thinking, thinking, thinking. And then whatever the thought is, put it in words. This is the thought. If it's a feeling, give it a name. That's the feeling. Just simply observing. If an association or interpretation comes to you, notice, I'm interpreting. My mind is creating a story. I'm putting two and two things together and trying to conclude something. If there are distractions, notice there are distractions. Whatever is distracting your mind, notice that's what's going on. At this point, you're not trying to focus on one thing, you're just simply becoming aware. So the distraction would be if you're noticing one thing and if your mind is being pulled in another direction, you notice that. And then slowly you go to that other thing that was pulling your attention. It's a gentle act of observing awareness. It's not a race. It's not a type of discipline where you have to discipline your mind by getting mad at it. All you're doing is gently noticing whatever you're aware of. The mind wanders around, and when you bring it back, what do you notice? Just gently. Your mind may be wandering around, but you are giving it a frame of awareness. You're aware that you're aware. And now bring your attention back to your breath again. Notice the breath in and breath out. How the body is receiving the breath. One more time. Breath in and breath out. Now in your mind, say this line 3 times and pay attention to what you're saying. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. So you can open your eyes slowly at first and then all the way. We meditated for 20 minutes. I believe it may have been 19 because I was meditating and trying to keep track of time at the same time. So, Barbara, nice to see you back. Um, the chart times were mixed up. Okay. Um, I'm not sure the earlier messages were from people in the morning or now, because in the morning I had other people who were interacting with me. So I'm not sure the table is swapped for everybody or not. But I will check into it, Barbara. I will see if there is a mix up in the chart. And if so, then I'll make sure that The right links are placed in the right table. As you guys have noticed that for this live session, I've been having these difficulties, technical difficulties, sometimes starting late, sometimes mix up and all that. Somehow this time when the person who set up the table in a hurry and he left, so I'm the one who had to figure it out, and in that process of figuring out, I may have swapped certain things, I'm not sure. And maybe by the time we are done with this camp, I will know how to set up the tables and how to do all those things myself. At this point, I'm just doing minimum necessary to keep the sessions going. So again, going back to the quest, I think you pretty much have an idea of what we are trying to do. We are trying to think about what is keeping us from reaching where we want to go. If it's happiness, what's keeping you away from happiness? If it's sense of well-being, what's keeping you away from sense of well-being? If it's a relationship, what's keeping you away from making friends or having a better relationship? If it is a career goal, what's keeping you away from reaching that career goal? Sometimes it may not be one specific thing that's keeping you away, but it may be just that you are doing things and you need to learn how to wait patiently, how not to try to solve problems quickly, in a hurry, and overanalyzing, but to know that problems will be solved. You can learn about the problem. You can analyze it as much as you want outside of the session by leaving it specific time. Once you are done, let go. When you do open awareness meditations, you may get some direction or some solution. And that's the reason why we did open awareness meditation today. I'm going to wait just for a minute to see if any one of you has any question. Um, and if not, then I'm going to stop. And you can always email me at tomeditatetogether@gmail.com and I will answer your questions. And otherwise, I will see you next Thursday. Again, I'll try to make sure that the chart shows the right times and the right session. Um, but I don't see any questions at this point. So I am going to say bye to you and I will see you next Thursday. Thank you very much and I'll see you soon.